Welcome back. In this video, we're diving deep into Lincoln Memorial Pennies, the coins that so many people see every single day, but rarely take the time to look at closely. What if I told you that some of these pennies hiding in your pocket change, in your piggy bank, or in an old collection could actually be worth real money? These Lincoln Memorial cents are not just ordinary coins. Certain years and varieties are considered rare and highly collectible. That means what looks like just 1 cent could actually be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars to the right collector. So make sure you stay with me all the way to the end of this video, because I'll be revealing the most valuable Lincoln Memorial pennies you need to watch for, why they're so important, and how they could turn your small change into something truly valuable. You don't want to miss a second of this. First up, the most valuable 1959 Lincoln Memorial penny. The 1959 Lincoln Memorial penny is a coin that may appear ordinary at first glance, but it holds a very special place in American coin history and is far more valuable than many people realize. This coin marked the very first year of the Lincoln Memorial cent design, replacing the famous Lincoln wheat cent that had been in circulation since 1909. That change alone makes the 1959 penny historically important. But when we look closer at details like the mint marks, production numbers, and condition, we begin to see why collectors consider this coin to be valuable and worth holding on to. Many people don't know that certain 1959 Lincoln Memorial pennies can be worth far more than just 1 cent, and in some cases, they have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's why you should pay attention, because even an everyday-looking penny from 1959 could turn out to be a treasure. The 1959 penny was minted in 2 places, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia version has no mint mark under the date, while the Denver version carries a small D mint mark. Both types are collectible, but the Denver version had a much higher mintage, with over 1.2 billion coins struck, while Philadelphia produced more than 600 million. At first, those numbers may sound huge, but considering how many pennies have been lost, damaged, or worn down over the decades, the number of 1,959 coins in high quality is far smaller today. Collectors especially want coins that are in great condition, and that's where the value really comes in. If you happen to find a 1959 penny with full original luster, strong details, and very little wear, you are looking at a coin that is worth far more than just 1 cent. Another reason the 1959 Lincoln Memorial penny is valuable is because of its position in history. For 50 years, the reverse side of the penny had the iconic wheat ears design. But in 1959, to mark the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint replaced the wheat ears with the Lincoln Memorial. This new design lasted for the next 50 years, until 2008. That means the 1959 penny is the very first year of this design, making it a first-issue coin. Collectors always value first issues highly, because they represent the beginning of a new era. Just like the very first year of the wheat cent in 1909 is valuable, the 1959 Memorial penny has special importance as the start of a design that millions of Americans used for decades. Now let's talk about errors and varieties, because this is where some of the highest values come into play. There are reported examples of 1959 pennies with striking errors, off-center strikes, double dies, and even one of the most famous controversy coins, the 1959 D wheat reverse penny. This extremely rare coin, which was supposedly struck with the old wheat reverse instead of the new memorial design, has been surrounded by debate, but one example was certified and sold for a significant amount of money. Even without that controversial variety, collectors look for double dies and striking mistakes in 1959 pennies, and those errors can turn an ordinary-looking coin into something very valuable. So if you come across a 1959 penny that looks unusual or has doubling in the lettering or date, make sure to hold on to it. The metal composition of the 1959 penny also adds to its story. These coins were made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, a composition that continued until 1982. Because copper has intrinsic value, each 1959 penny already contains more than 1 cent worth of copper. But beyond the melt value, the historical and collectible value is what makes the coin so desirable. Collectors are not just interested in the metal. They want coins with eye appeal, sharp details, and historical importance. A shiny, red-colored 1959 penny in mint state can easily sell for much more than face value. When we look at the coin market, we see that prices for 1959 Lincoln Memorial pennies vary widely depending on grade. A circulated coin in average condition may not seem worth much, but once you reach uncirculated levels, values can climb significantly. There have been auctions where pristine 1959 pennies with full red color and no marks have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That shows the demand collectors have for top-quality examples of this very first memorial cent. Even coins with slight errors or varieties can command strong premiums, and it all comes down to careful attention to detail. Think about it. Millions of people over the decades have handled 1959 pennies, but very few have saved them in top condition. That's what makes the few surviving high-grade examples so valuable today. If you find a 1959 penny with sharp detail in Lincoln's hair, a clear date, strong lettering, and a brilliant red shine, you are holding a coin that collectors will pay serious money for. The same goes for coins struck slightly off-center, coins with doubling, or coins with unusual die marks. These small differences create big value. It's also important to remember that the 1959 penny connects two major chapters in U.S. coin history, the wheat cent era and the memorial cent era. This makes the coin historically significant and always in demand by collectors building complete sets. Every Lincoln cent collection needs a 1959 penny to mark the beginning of the memorial series. And because collectors often want the best quality they can find, competition for high-grade examples remains strong. For anyone interested in coin collecting or simply checking their change, the 1959 Lincoln Memorial penny is one you should always set aside. Even if you have one in average condition, it still represents the first year of the memorial design and could be worth holding on to. But if you find one in excellent shape, with sharp details or an error, that coin could be worth far more than you think. Over the years, people have discovered that coins they thought were ordinary were actually valuable because of small details they didn't notice before. That's why looking closely at a 1959 penny is so important. So the next time you come across a 1959 Lincoln Memorial penny, don't overlook it. This coin is valuable, historically significant, and highly collectible. From its role as the first memorial cent, to its copper composition, to its rare varieties and errors, the 1959 penny has much more to offer than meets the eye. Collectors know its importance, and that demand is what drives its value higher. A single penny from 1959 could be worth far more than face value, and some examples have sold for large amounts at auction. That's why this is a coin that deserves attention and respect. The 1959 Lincoln Memorial penny is a reminder that even the smallest coins in our pockets can carry big stories and big value. Always take a second look, because that penny could be worth far more than you imagine. Next up, the rare 1974 Lincoln Memorial penny. The 1974 Lincoln Memorial penny is a coin that many people have seen thousands of times without realizing that it carries real value for collectors. At first glance, it may just look like another ordinary 1-cent coin that we all use in everyday life. But the truth is that certain 1974 pennies are actually rare and valuable. Some of them have unusual varieties, striking errors, and even historical importance that make them worth far more than just a single cent. This is why collectors, coin enthusiasts, and even everyday people who check their pocket change are paying special attention to this coin. The 1974 Lincoln Memorial penny is not just a piece of small change. It can be a collectible treasure if you know what to look for. The 1974 penny was struck in huge numbers by 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint coins carry no mint mark. The Denver coins are marked with a small d. And the San Francisco mint produced proof coins with an S mint mark. Billions of these coins were made, but not all 1974 pennies are the same. Condition, mint marks, and especially special varieties are what set some of them apart and make them valuable today. Collectors often seek out coins from this year in top condition because coins in pristine mint state can sell for strong prices. Even though billions were minted, finding a 1974 penny that still looks nearly perfect after 50 years is much harder than it sounds. One of the most fascinating things about the 1974 penny is the experimental coins that were made that year. The United States Mint was testing different metals because the price of copper was rising, and there was concern that making pennies out of 95% copper was becoming too expensive. During these experiments, a small number of 1974 Lincoln pennies were struck in aluminum instead of copper. These 1974 aluminum cents were never released for circulation, and only a handful of examples are known today. They are considered extremely rare and controversial, but they have become legendary in coin collecting. If you ever came across a genuine 1974 aluminum penny, it would be worth a fortune because collectors know just how scarce they are. For most collectors, the focus is on the regular copper coins that were minted for circulation. The 1974 penny is made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, the same composition that had been used for decades before the switch to copper-plated zinc in 1982. This makes the 1974 penny one of the later years of the traditional copper cents, which gives it extra appeal to those who value the heavier, older pennies. Copper alone gives the coin intrinsic value, but the real worth comes from collector demand and condition. A bright red uncirculated 1974 penny with full luster can be worth many times more than face value. Collectors also pay special attention to errors and varieties in the 1974 penny. Some examples have double die obverse features, where the lettering or the date appears doubled because of the way the die struck the coin. These double dies are always sought after and can add significant value. Off-center strikes, die cracks, clip planchets, and other mistakes also exist for 1974 pennies, and each of these unusual coins can be worth far more than 1 cent. For example, a 1974 penny struck off-center by a large percentage could sell for much more than face value because era collectors love unique coins. That means if you see a 1974 penny that doesn't look normal, don't dismiss it. It might be a valuable variety. Another important detail is that the San Francisco Mint produced proof pennies in 1974. These proof coins were not made for circulation, but for collectors. They were struck with special dies on polished planchets, giving them a mirror-like finish. While millions were made, high-quality proof examples in original condition remain desirable. Even though proof coins were not intended for everyday use, sometimes they find their way into circulation, so it is possible to discover one in pocket change. Proof 1974 Lincoln Memorial Pennies, with sharp detail and excellent preservation, can be worth more than regular circulation strikes. The value of the 1974 penny depends heavily on its grade. A coin that has circulated heavily will usually be worth only a small premium over face value, but a coin in mint state can be worth several dollars or more. Some of the finest known examples have sold for impressive amounts at auction. Collectors especially want coins that are bright red, without spots or discoloration, and with sharp detail in Lincoln's hair and the lettering. Finding such a coin in circulation today is difficult, which is why high-grade 1974 pennies are considered valuable. It's also worth noting that many people who grew up in the 1970s remember these pennies, and that adds a nostalgic factor to collecting them. Coins are not just about metal and value. They also carry history and memories. The 1974 penny represents a period of economic change, rising metal prices, and the beginning of the discussion that eventually led to changing the composition of the penny. That historical context makes the coin more meaningful and more collectible today. When we look at the market for 1974 pennies, we see that demand remains steady because collectors need these coins to complete Lincoln Memorial Cent collections. Since the series ran from 1959 to 2008, every collector who builds a full set needs a 1974 penny. That constant demand ensures that nice examples always sell, and it keeps the value of the best coins high. Combined with the unique aluminum experiments and the many varieties and errors, the 1974 penny remains one of the most talked about coins of the 1970s. For anyone searching their change or looking through old jars of pennies, the 1974 Lincoln Memorial Cent is one you should always watch for. Even if most examples are common, the chance of finding a rare variety, a proof coin, or a coin in excellent condition makes the search worthwhile. A coin that looks like an ordinary cent could actually be a valuable collectible. That's why you should never ignore the date on your pennies. A single 1974 penny could be the key to discovering real value in your collection. The 1974 Lincoln Memorial Penny teaches us that even modern coins can have hidden worth. From its copper composition to its rare experimental aluminum strikes, from its collectible proof issues to its fascinating errors, this coin is far more than just 1 cent. It is valuable, it is collectible, and it represents a unique piece of American coin history. For collectors, it's a coin that belongs in every serious Lincoln cent collection, and for everyday people, it's a reminder that sometimes the smallest coins can hold the biggest surprises. So the next time you come across a 1974 penny, look closely. That coin might be worth far more than you think. Next up, the iconic 1982 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin. The 1982 Lincoln Memorial Penny is one of the most important modern cents in U.S. history, and it is a coin that many people overlook without realizing how valuable it can be. At first glance, it may seem like just another common penny, but the truth is that 1982 pennies come in several different varieties, and some of those varieties are rare, collectible, and worth much more than just a cent. If you have 1982 pennies sitting in a jar, in old change, or in pocket money, you could be holding onto coins that are valuable today. Collectors know how significant the 1982 Lincoln cent is because this was the year the composition of the penny changed forever. That change alone makes the 1982 penny historically important, and certain varieties from that year are extremely desirable. For decades leading up to 1982, Lincoln Memorial pennies were struck in a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin. These copper cents are heavier and have an intrinsic metal value worth more than 1 cent. But in 1982, the United States Mint made the decision to switch from copper to a cheaper composition of copper-plated zinc because the cost of copper had risen too high. This change meant that during 1982, both copper and zinc pennies were produced, creating multiple varieties for collectors to identify. Some of these varieties are common, but others are scarce and valuable. This is why the 1982 penny is one of the most studied modern coins, and it is also why collectors are always searching for the rare and valuable versions. There are actually 7 recognized varieties of the 1982 Lincoln Memorial Penny. These include large date and small date designs, struck in both copper and zinc, and struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. To break it down, you have a 1982 large date copper penny, a 1982 small date copper penny, a 1982 large date zinc penny, a 1982 small date zinc penny, and the same set from Denver with the D mint mark. That means collectors have to identify whether a coin is copper or zinc, and whether it has the large date or small date style. Because there are so many varieties, building a complete 1982 set is challenging, and that is why certain coins from this year are especially valuable. The most famous and valuable variety is the 1982 D small date copper penny. This coin was struck in very limited numbers, and it combines the Denver mint mark, the small date design, and the old copper composition. While billions of pennies were made in 1982, very few of this specific variety were produced, making it a rarity. Collectors are willing to pay high prices for this coin, and in top condition it can sell for thousands of dollars. This is why it is so important to check every 1982 penny you find. Even though most are common, the chance of finding the 1982 D small date copper variety makes searching worthwhile. Knowing the difference between copper and zinc pennies is crucial. Copper cents from 1982 weigh about 3.11 grams, while zinc cents weigh about 2.5 grams. This small difference can be measured on a precise scale, and it is the best way to tell what metal your penny is made of. Collectors use this method to sort through 1982 coins and identify whether they are copper or zinc. The weight of the coin makes all the difference, because the copper versions are worth more. If you happen to find a rare 1982 D small date penny in copper, then you are looking at a coin that is highly valuable and in great demand. The small date versus large date designs also matter. The small date coins have a more delicate appearance in the numbers, with the 2 in the date curving in a specific way and the 8 looking thinner. The large date versions have a bolder look. Collectors pay close attention to these differences because they affect value. Small date varieties are generally scarcer and more collectible, especially in copper. That makes the small date pennies, both from Philadelphia and Denver, very desirable, with the Denver small date copper being the most valuable of them all. Errors and varieties also exist in 1982 pennies, and they can bring even higher values. Double die varieties, off-center strikes, die cracks, and clip planchets can all add significant premiums. Because 1982 was a transitional year, mistakes happened at the mint, and that means collectors today are on the lookout for unusual coins from this year. If you see a 1982 penny with doubling in the date or the lettering, or a coin that looks off-center, it could be worth far more than face value. These errors make an already historic coin even more valuable. Proof coins were also made in 1982 by the San Francisco Mint with the ES mint mark. These were struck for collectors and have mirror-like surfaces. While they are not as rare as the transitional varieties, high-quality proof coins with deep cameo contrast are still valuable and always in demand. A proof 1982 penny in pristine condition can sell for a strong premium, especially if it has no spots or discoloration. Collectors want the best examples, and that demand drives prices higher. The values of 1982 pennies vary greatly depending on which variety you have and what condition it is in. A regular 1982 zinc large date penny in circulated condition may only be worth face value, but an uncirculated red example can bring a few dollars. A 1982 copper small date in high grade can bring more, and the rare 1982 D small date copper penny can bring hundreds or even thousands depending on its grade. Auction records show just how much collectors are willing to pay for these coins, and it proves that the 1982 Lincoln Memorial Penny is far from ordinary. This coin is also valuable because it represents a major turning point in U.S. coinage. The switch from copper to zinc marked the end of an era. For generations, Americans had used copper pennies, but after 1982, almost all pennies were made of cheaper zinc with just a thin copper coating. That makes the 1982 copper pennies the last of their kind, and collectors always value the last year of a classic coin composition. That historical importance gives the 1982 penny permanent appeal. So whenever you see a 1982 Lincoln Memorial penny, never ignore it. This coin may look ordinary, but the truth is that some of them are extremely valuable. From the rare 1982 D small date copper penny to the many varieties, from errors and proof issues to the history of the copper to zinc transition, this coin has so much to offer collectors. The 1982 penny is valuable, it is collectible, and it is a reminder that even the smallest coin in your pocket can hold hidden treasure. That is why collectors today are still searching through rolls of pennies and jars of change looking for these coins. If you have 1982 pennies, take the time to check them carefully. A simple scale and a close look at the date could reveal that you have something far more valuable than just a cent. The 1982 Lincoln Memorial Penny is not just another coin. It is a collectible piece of history, and it could be worth real money. Now, we'll explore the legendary 1980 Lincoln Memorial 1 penny. The 1980 Lincoln Memorial Penny is a coin that at first looks like an ordinary cent, but in reality it can be much more valuable than many people expect. While most people glance over pennies without giving them any thought, coin collectors know that the 1980 penny is important, collectible, and in certain cases worth far more than 1 cent. That is why it is always worth looking closely at this coin. The 1980 Lincoln Memorial Penny can be valuable because of its condition, its history, and the fact that era varieties from this year can sell for strong premiums. If you have jars of old coins, if you have change sitting around, or if you enjoy searching through penny rolls, the 1980 penny is one that you absolutely should not ignore. This coin was struck at 2 mints, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, while the Denver coins are marked with a small d under the date. Both mints produced hundreds of millions of pennies in 1980, which means at the time, they were very common. But after more than 40 years, finding examples in pristine condition is no longer so easy. Most of the 1980 pennies you see today are worn down from circulation, and collectors are not as interested in those. What collectors want are coins that remain in sharp, original condition, bright, red, uncirculated examples with full luster and clear detail. Those are the coins that can be valuable. A 1980 Lincoln cent in top grade can bring many times its face value, and the best examples have sold for impressive amounts at auction. The 1980 penny was made of the traditional bronze composition, which is 95% copper and 5% zinc. This composition had been used for decades and would continue until 1982, when the mint switched to cheaper copper-plated zinc cents. Because of this, the 1980 penny belongs to the group of copper cents that collectors often separate from later pennies. Copper itself has intrinsic value, and even beyond the melt value. These copper cents are more desirable to collectors than the lighter zinc coins that followed. The 1980 Lincoln Memorial Penny, therefore, has both historical importance and collectible demand. One of the reasons the 1980 penny is valuable is because of striking errors and varieties. Coins struck with double dies, coins struck off-center, coins with die cracks, clipped planchets, or other unusual features are always in demand. A 1980 penny with a double die on the date or lettering, for example, could sell for far more than 1 cent. Collectors pay attention to any coin that looks unusual, and the 1980 penny is no exception. If you ever see one that looks different from normal, with distorted lettering, extra thickness, or a design that is shifted, it could be a valuable error. Even small differences can add up to big value when it comes to coin collecting. Proof coins were also made in 1980 at the San Francisco Mint, with the S mint mark. These proof pennies were produced with polished dies and special planchets, giving them a mirror-like finish. While millions were produced for collectors, pristine proof examples with deep cameo contrast are still desirable today. Proof coins are not meant for circulation, but sometimes they do appear in circulation after being spent accidentally. If you ever find a proof 1980 penny in your change, that coin will be worth far more than a regular circulation strike. Collectors are always willing to pay a premium for proofs, especially in high quality. Condition is extremely important when it comes to the value of the 1980 Lincoln penny. Most circulated examples are worth little more than face value, but uncirculated coins in mint state condition can bring strong premiums. Coins that are bright red, free of spots, scratches, or wear are especially valuable. The difference between a worn penny and a flawless uncirculated one can be dramatic when it comes to collector demand. Auction results show that superb 1980 pennies in top condition can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on rarity and grade. That is why it pays to check carefully. What looks like a common penny could actually be a very valuable coin if it is in the right condition. The 1980 penny also carries historical significance because it represents the final years of the full copper cents. Within just 2 years, the composition would be permanently changed, and that makes the late 1970s and early 1980s pennies more desirable to collectors. For many people, these coins bring back memories of childhood, and that adds to their appeal. Collectors love coins that are not only historically important but also nostalgic, and the 1980 penny checks both boxes. If you are building a Lincoln Memorial cent collection, the 1980 penny is an essential piece. Since the series began in 1959 and continued until 2008, collectors want each date and mint mark to complete their sets. High-quality 1980 pennies are always in demand because every collector wants the sharpest examples possible. That constant demand helps keep value strong, especially for the best coins. The fact that the series ran for 50 years means that Lincoln Memorial pennies are among the most widely collected U.S. coins, and that is another reason why the 1980 penny remains valuable today. Even though billions of these pennies were minted, the key is survival in top quality and unusual varieties. Coins that escaped heavy circulation, coins with errors, or coins with proof-like characteristics are the ones that stand out. Collectors know this, and that is why they are always checking 1980 pennies closely. A jar of old change could contain an ordinary coin, or it could contain a rare and valuable variety. You simply will not know until you look. So the next time you come across a 1980 Lincoln Memorial penny, take a closer look. That coin might not just be pocket change. It could be a collectible piece of history. With its copper composition, its proof issues, its possible errors and varieties, and its value in mint state condition. The 1980 penny is far more valuable than most people think. Collectors appreciate its place in the Lincoln cent series, and they're willing to pay strong prices for the right examples. This is a coin that deserves respect, and it proves once again that even the smallest denomination can hold big surprises. The 1980 Lincoln Memorial Penny is valuable, collectible, and historically important. Whether you are a longtime coin collector or just someone who likes to check their change, this coin is one to watch for. Hidden in everyday circulation or saved in old coin jars, there may still be 1980 pennies waiting to be discovered, and those coins could be worth far more than a single cent. And that brings us to the end of today's deep look at Lincoln Memorial Pennies. From the 1959 first-year issue, to the 1960s and 1970s copper cents, to the valuable 1980, 1982, and even rare era pennies. Each one of these coins proves that small change can hold big value. These coins are not just worth 1 cent. Some of them are worth hundreds, and the rare varieties can even sell for thousands of dollars. That's why it is so important to always check your change, your coin jars, and your old collections, because you never know when you might come across a valuable Lincoln Memorial penny. Collectors everywhere are searching for these coins, and the demand continues to grow every year. If you enjoyed learning about the value, history, and rarity of these Lincoln cents, make sure to keep watching, because I'll continue bringing you more videos about rare coins worth money, valuable pennies to look for, and the hidden treasures that could be sitting in your pocket right now. Remember, these Lincoln Memorial pennies are valuable, collectible, and highly sought after, so don't overlook them. Keep checking, keep collecting, and keep learning, because the next coin you find could be worth far more than you think.